Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've got a decently sized haul, so let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got Immoral X-Men #2, continuing the Sins of Sinister story. So, this month is the year 100 run. When we left off in year 10 for Immoral X-Men, Krakoa was preparing for intergalactic war, basically. Not so much in a, oh, it's coming, so much as, hey, we should be ready for, dealing with the various intergalactic empires. And they have been, so. Leading the charge in the intergalactic war is Hope and Exodus, with basically Hope utilizing Exodus's powers, therefore channeling his belief in her to supercharge her own powers. But this ends up, this enables them to basically, or enables Krakoa to deploy the, I believe they're L-bombs, which I believe are Legion bombs. No, we're not Legion bombs. Okay, so the L-bombs are described as being Firestar plus Leland plus Micromax. Nuclear fission plus increasing mass plus increasing scale equals a planet splitter. So, it turns out that there are pieces of Hope's body in the reliquary arbor. And there's a log about... There's a log from Commander Hope. Apparently it's explained that she killed Mystique, which apparently she enjoys killing Quiet Council members. That doesn't awaken anything in her. But the pieces of Hope in the reliquary arbor basically allow her to, via her presence, or their presence, continue her place within the Five, so for resurrection purposes. The Quiet Council, however, is gathered to... First off, there's a new ship for their continued intergalactic conquest, the Marauder. It's explained that it has a huge Shaw batteries, Eunice glands, Tempest magic drive, biosubstrate. It'll get out there and find new worlds, strange civilizations, and phone home so that they can go and annihilate them. The captain of the Marauder is said to be Rasputin 4, with full explanation of her abilities, and as well as a demonstration against Mystique Greycrow chimeras. So apparently that she's Rasputin 4 is 5 genetic template, is a 5 chimera genetic chimera. Sinister explains that Colossus and Kate Pride are basically give Rasputin steel, strength, and intangibility, all which are classics. Taste of Eunice adds force fields. Little Kinney for aggression and survivability, with a small dash of Quentin Quire for telepathy. And a soul sword as equipment, in part because it looks fabulous. Also, it's a weapon that one can attack with while remaining intangible. So, yeah. Hope asks if it's possible to add additional, or to go beyond a 5 template chimera, but Sinister explains that no, he's tried, it doesn't work. And so the council says, okay, well, Sinister's outlived his usefulness then. In his quarters, he finds a book waiting for him, the heart on the cover, and the deliverer of said book is also waiting for him. The deliverer being none other than Mother Righteous. We get a story of sorts. You're a man of science, and you're expecting an abstract. But I'm a lady of magic, and that means you're going to get a story. So you're sitting comfortably. Let us begin. Once upon a time, there was a man called Nathaniel Essex. He saw that eventually machines with big brains could destroy us all because they're good at thinking. Can't be having that. He died but left behind 4 clones. Each of the clones would explore one route to beat the machines. They are the cosmic powers. That's Orbis Stellaris. You don't know him, but he's a big weirdo who floats around the cosmos in a golf ball full of his own pee. Post-humanity. That's Dr. Stasis. You know him, but don't worry. I often went when he gave me a bit of lip. Magic. That's me, Mother Righteous, at your service. Essex Factors. That's you. Now, where this gets interesting, different roads, same destination. Just find the machines, we have to escape the machines. You become a Dominion outside time and space, they can't touch you. No one can. Yeah, I know that's what you're shooting at. We all are, or were in the case of poor old stroppy Stasis. So, we can beat the machines and ascend to a higher form of life. Or can we beat the machines and ascend to a higher form of life? And just as importantly, can we beat each other? Because there's only room for one big top dog in this game. That's going to be me. To be continued. But, Sinister accepts the book and Mother Righteous goes on her way. Hope is eagerly looking forward to getting to kill Sinister. Her and Exodus are taking care of a world full of Chitauri rebels, but it's been decreed that Hope is also to fall. With Exodus stating that Hope is more used to them dead than alive. She kills some of the Chitauri that attack her, but obviously they want a little bit of... The Exodus wants to preserve as much of Hope's body as possible. Sinister gives Rasputin for a final injection, a final gene treatment, removing the Sinister strain, or at the very least, removing its dominance. So she boards the Marauder, and they shoot their way out, firing Proteus torpedoes at the base before escaping. They're trying to find the Moira engine. Sinister and Rasputin. Sinister figures it shouldn't take any more than 5 years. And that is where the issue ends. I am loving these, and while I get the time jump, I'd love to see... I would have loved to have seen more of what happened between the time jumps. But it's a 3-month event. They've got... Marvel's got... The X-Men books have got a lot on their plate for this year, apparently, so... Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Bishop War College, number 2. Where we left off, while doing his the War College bit, Bishop and his students stumbled upon Fenris in the underground caverns of Krakoa, apparently working with Orcus and now in possession of Blightswill. Tempo and Bishop were sent elsewhere, and Bishop ended up apparently on a world where the X-Men are black. All of them. He was confronted on this world by, when he arrived, by none other than Jean Grey and Scott Summers. We get the usual bits, not know the Cyclops and Jean not knowing who he is, and leading to a fight. Beast, Angel, and Iceman also show up to lend a hand, but they're stopped by Professor X. And who figures out, okay, the Bishop is Lucas Bishop. And then this Professor X is Charles Xavier. It's not the one that Lucas knows. And he asked for one of the teachers comes out to speak with Lucas. That teacher is Lucas Bishop. The Fenris twins are in conversation with their boss, with basically the member of Orchis that is dealing with them directly, Moira McTaggart. The Fenris twins take some of the Orchis troops to go after Bishop's students, who are dealing with the effects of the Blight Swell. Though, it's not acting like he normally should. Some still have powers, but in some cases it's erratic or otherwise hard to control. In some cases, yes, the powers are just straight up shut off. There's a memo from Dr. Debo to Fei Long and Moira McTaggart. We learned that that Orchis got the Blight Swell from Brousseau, and that he talks about what it does and some of the things he's done to it. He's able to create an antidote to the Blight Swell. Limited range at most, but a bracelet should suffice to keep it close enough to protect their allies. The basic idea is that it has a small but persistent psychic effect, causing increased anxiety and emotional instability. Debo feels this will be particularly useful in the next phase of the plans. When combined with power instability, this effect will lead to irrational, unpredictable behavior and the increased likelihood of violent outbursts. When trying to convince the public mutants are a threat, rampaging, bloodthirsty mutants with unpredictable powers should do the trick. Also, apparently, Debo explains that once Orchis achieve their goals, Brousseau has been promised being brought further into Orchis' trust. Apparently, has some very interesting plans for a large quantity of mutant blood. And Debo is sure that if all goes well, they'll be able to supply him with plenty. The students discuss what to do. Armor is seemingly in favor of evacuating the caves, but Surge is more in favor of staying and fighting. Amass points out that the Blight Swell is affecting all of them, but the students are soon found by Fenris and, for the most part, incapacitated. Among those not is Cam Long. However, Andreas Strucker knocks him out of the way, and he hits Amass, and Amass absorbs Cam. And then he picks up Andreas and absorbs him too. Andrea to fire a gun at him as the issue ends. Interesting. We also get an official designation for the particular Earth that Bishop is on. That Bishop ended up on. It's Earth 63. and it's not a race swap Earth. It's, I guess a way to put it would be a more literal, a less thinly veiled analogy. Mutants are a much more or much less thinly veiled analogy on Earth 63. So, moving on though to our next book, we've got Wolverine number 31. So, where we've left off, Beast killed Wolverine and then brought him back, but with just his feral instincts. No real personality. Just kept him as a private and controllable assassin. Eventually, Wolverine broke free. His memories returned. His memories and personality returned. Though it seems that Beast had threatened Jeff Bannister and using Bannister's daughter. The daughter is currently, or most recently, been poisoned on Krakoa, and is currently in the Healing Gardens. Bannister was shot, but when Wolverine and Sage went after Beast. First went after Bannister, and then figured that'd be a good way to catch up to Beast. Bannister's taking a position at the X desk, and is basically feeding Beast intel, making sure that the X desk knows every little bit of it, everything that the X desk knows. Krakoa knows, well, Beast, not Krakoa, just Beast. But Beast shot Bannister, so Wolverine went after him and seemingly killed him. However, Beast was immediately resurrected in a secret resurrection facility of his own. And he initiates the Beast agenda, which basically takes the point, turns it into a mech, and walks underwater, or walks into the ocean. Back with Wolverine, turns out that Beast booby-trapped his body, and his brain goes fungal, allowing him to continue to fight Wolverine, but without his intellect. So it's only Wolverine can handle. But at the same time, he's kind of just thinking, it's not so much a bad end, so much as a bad beginning. There's a UN submarine that's keeping tabs on Krakoa, and so Beast destroys it. And he has a whole... He has a queue of a whole bunch of stasis pods with clones of himself inside. It turns out he's also... he set up his own secret cerebro to constantly to make backups on every minute. He also wakes up some of the Beast clones. Bannister's been taken back to Krakoa as well. Dr. Reyes is doing what she can. Wolverine pretty much has a, hey, just, they both survive this. They have to. Hope goes through Cerebro and discovers that Beast's backups are gone. A note from Sage's logbook is that all resurrection backups of Beast since the founding of Krakoa are gone, along with a good deal of what precedes them. Curiously, Beast did leave all files from the time period in which he joined the Avengers untouched. Must not have viewed anything about that version of himself as important or compromising. But Black Tom points out that there's a problem. Point. It's gone. Beast Gets on the silences, mutes their X-Force's comms and tells them what's going on. Basically, this is the equivalent of X-Force showing up to the office one day and finding the locks changed. He also goes on to say that he is not immoral, but amoral. It's all about the focus on reason and doing the calculation. Sure, what he did to Wolverine, he knows that what he did to Wolverine was shitty, but because of what he did to Wolverine, potentially speaking, multiple mutant lives were saved. So it's good math. There had to be better ways to save those lives. And it turns out another project he's got brewing at the point is clones of Wolverine. Presumably more clones of Wolverine that are designed to basically be released without just as mindless killing machine. Mindless killing machines are easily controlled. And that is where the issue ends. Yeah, this is things are getting interesting. We're building something big, which has been kind of teased by recent solicits. Which we're rather than go into that, we'll just keep going on with the roundup. Moving on to our next book, we've got Star Wars Yoda #5. Where we left off, Yoda had summoned his old Padawan, Dooku, to help with teaching the Jedi initiates. Dooku was surprised to see a Wookiee and Trandoshan initiate. A Wookiee initiate and a Trandoshan initiate who were friends. However, the Wookiee went to Dooku. He'd been having Krish had been having visions that seemed to show the Trandoshan initiate Gaia and him fighting. Not sparring, actually fighting. And that potentially Gaia had fallen to the dark side in these visions. Dooku advised him to be wary of telling others. And so we open with a flashback to the planet Alaris Prime. There's a slaughter. But Yoda's been summoned. There was a fight between Wookiees and Trandoshans, but among everything, a child was found. A Trandoshan child, and talented in the Force. And so, Yoda takes this child in. This child would be the initiate now known as Gaia. Gaia and one of the other initiates, Jack Zinn, are sparring. Krish is still being very standoffish. And Yoda is observing. Speaks to Krish, and Krish tells Yoda of his vision. And Yoda points out that Krish is not required to be friends with all Jedi. But he is required to respect them and their connection to the Force. Saying that Krish allowing his fear, anger, or even hate to cloud his interactions, that's the path to the dark side. Even adding that Gaia was found by a youngling, by a group of Wookiees. And Krish attempts to mend fences with Gaia, and it actually does seem to work. But Krish is still having same vision. And so he goes to speak with Master Dooku, who states that if the vision is constantly the same, that it's Force giving Krish a warning. And a warning so far in advance is a gift for a Jedi. One has been given the time to watch, gather evidence, and develop the skills needed if one must act. And also, perhaps the vision will continue to give Krish more clarity on the matter. And so, Yoda takes the Padawans to Planet Corvair 2. It's supposed to be a roughing it on a roughing it exercise where they have to rely on what they've learned to survive on the planet, with Yoda watching but not as closely observing. Krish tells Gaia of his vision, leads the two of them fighting, and the issue ends with Krish drawing and igniting his lightsaber. An interesting story so far. Should be looking forward to seeing how it resolves. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got House of Slaughter number 13. Where we left off, Sonny, a child that had been rescued by Jace Boucher, had been found by another member of House Boucher, Jolie, and taken into her care. Jace is aware of this, and, well, he means to get Sonny back. Jolie takes Sonny to the butcher shop, House Boucher. There's a big welcome dinner for him, but Sonny he should go back to his family, But she entices him to stay by talking about the welcome dinner. He meets some of the members of the house. There's also a visitor, Maxine Slaughter. We met her way back in the Book of Slaughter. She's being sent after. She's likely to be. She's training to become basically Erica's replacement. But in New Orleans, Jace is confronted with some not too pleasant memories. And Sonny is further taken through the house, meeting the butcher shop's dragon. But Jace meets with an old blind woman who appears to have a connection to the ravens that are flying about. Yeah, as well as to Jace's past. But Sonny has been convinced to stay the night at the butcher shop, and in the middle of the night he wakes up to a sound. There's a monster on his bed, and the door is locked from the outside. And that is where the issue ends. Ooh. I do like we're seeing more of the other houses in the Order of St. George in recent House of Slaughter related books. Somebody's Killing Children and House of Slaughter itself. I like that we're actually getting, like I said, a full focus on any of the, maybe not as much of a focus as we have on the House of Slaughter in Something Is Killing the Children, but at least a wider focus. Moving on to our last book for the moment, though, we've got Nocterra, number 12. That's right, this book's still coming out. It's just not coming out as regularly as maybe I'd like. Where we left off, Some dog convoy had thought they had reached Eos, but they hadn't, and well, there were people. There's still a lot. Most of them are still alive, but Val is believed dead, though she's been changed into something similar to Blacktop Bill. However, she's not the sick fuck that Blacktop Bill is. So we start off. We learn a bit about Emery, Val's adopted brother. Turns out that Val wasn't the only child adopted by her and Emery's parents. Emery was also adopted. As a kid, he was abandoned on by his parents on an interstate. They apparently put him in the car seat and just set it out in the middle of the road. But that led to him being adopted by his parents, by his and Val's parents. But it's also made his first memories is of light, whereas Val's are of darkness. But he's taken on Val's role in the convoy. We learn a bit more about his. Not so much the way his mind works. He always thinks about he always tries to think about if, and then if leads to other questions. Like if, then, how, why, and because. Those are the five questions that kind of drive him with any situation. But they are, of course, still having to deal with shades as they make their way to Eos, and they're approaching Argus, which was an observatory. A bunch of the telescopes were repurposed into basically light cannons. Though Argus is not firing off as quickly as it normally would. They arrive and Val greets them. With her is Diggs. Turns out that Argus has been pretty much wiped out. And Diggs claims to have some intel on Eos. It has 3 layers, basically. It's been constructed. The construction on it started in the 1930s, and yeah. But something has changed with the shades. Usually, if a person is attacked by a shade, they turn. It takes a few days for them to turn. Now it seems to happen in a matter of seconds. But Val, rather than rejoin the convoy, Val says to Emery that basically he's the shepherd, she's the sheepdog. But as they get closer, they're faced with a whole bunch of shade, which they deal with. Diggs runs out and gets turned almost immediately, and leading the shades is Blacktop Bill. And that is where the issue ends. Now, it's the kind of next issue that blurb states next month, but April this year. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Anyway, the book's good. It's just taking a while to get in. And hey, these things happen. That's going to do it for now, though. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.